Presentation.
Good evening. We're going to call to order the monthly meeting of the Norwalk Parking Authority. Our first order of business is public comment. If there's any member of the public, we ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes, and we'll open it up at this time.
We have no one on for public comment.
Okay, thank you. With that, we'll close public comment and move to the minutes from the previous meeting. Are there any omissions or modifications to the minutes from the previous meeting as posted? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as is for the Parking Authority meeting for Wednesday, April 24th, 2024.
Thank you, Pam. There's a motion. Is there a second?
I can second that.
Thank you, Peter. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I can't see anybody else because of the share view.
Peter, I don't think we heard what you said. I think it got muted.
Peter seconded, and then sorry, I just changed my view so that we can do the vote. I apologize. Can we just do a vote by roll, Peter?
Sure. I'm in favor of accepting the minutes.
Pam?
Sorry, muting. In favor?
Thank you. Judd?
Judd might be having
Judd's
some
having some
problems.
issues. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Judd. Even with you as an abstention, we're able to accept the minutes as submitted. With that, we'll move to our engineering and project report.
Yeah, thank you.
I believe Brian. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you, Vice Chair. So just a quick update on the Yankee Doodle exterior repairs. The contractor successfully cut the they cut the first rib on Monday, and they continue to cut. Rocky and I took some pictures and a couple videos to share to the commission. Parking operations continue as normal. We are only closing off some spaces that the contractor needs, but we are running operations as normal. But without further ado, I'll show you some pictures. There's that saw that we were talking about earlier. That was them prepping the area, leveling off the concrete where the cut was going to happen, where the cuts were going to happen. And that's him cutting the first rib. But I also have see if it loads up. It's very exciting stuff. And then the cut coming down. I was a little late to this video, but that was the that was like the part of the project that everyone was kind of a little nervous about, because you can't really regrow concrete, but it's going well. They've cut probably about six to eight, I think, off the top of my head. But yeah, the work's going to continue, and we'll keep going. I'll keep getting updates to everyone here, so you're aware. The neighborhood's very excited. They're seeing improvements to their area, which is great.
Thanks, Brian. It's great to
update.
see tangible progress.
Yes, sir.
Does anyone have any questions for Brian before we close engineering? Okay, We'll move to Rocky for our financial operating report.
Rocky, you need me to share my screen?
Yes, Brian, if you could
Okay.
share on my screen. Computer's still updating and not allowing me to log in.
Let me see. Let me just reshare. Hmm. Where the heck is it? There we go. Okay, here we go. Okay.
All right. I can't really see what's on the screen. That's me, my screen is too small, but I'll go over. Good evening, everyone. For the month of April, from budget perspective, overall, we finished the month with a positive fund balance, a little over $47,000. This is due to a 4% increase in parking revenue, as supported by a 10% decrease in total expenses. The major performance for the 4% increase in revenue came from the South Norwalk overflow lot, Yankee Doodle Garage, and North Water lot. The major expense savings, the 10% savings came mainly from payroll, vehicle equipment expense, signage expense, and operating expenses. From an actual perspective, month to month and prior year comparison, revenue comparing it to prior month was slightly up by 1%. Comparing it to same time last year, we are 4.3% under prior year numbers. The main reason for this 4.3% decline is coming mainly from violation revenue and transient revenue. The decline in revenue. Comparing it on a year-to-date basis, we're up by 3-4%, and the main increase came from all types of revenue except meter revenue. So permit revenue, violation, and transient were up comparing it to prior year last year, but year to date, but except meter revenue. Permit activity and revenue was up comparing it to last month, and both the activity and permit revenue were up. Brian, if you can slide to the next slide. That is the variance report for the month. The main variance report for what is coming from signage expenses and service contract. The signage expense was due to an invoice that got processed twice with 2 different invoice numbers, and we called that, and we got a credit for it from the signed vendor. And the service contract is under budget due to 2 invoices that we are disputing with Flowbird or the Calais pay stations that we have. This is the full financial package. If anyone has any question on this, I'll pause a little bit. Let's go to the next page, Brian. System-wide, overall year-to-date, comparing it to prior, transient activity is down 3%, and revenue, but revenue is up 2%. And the reason for this is the high transactional locations like the Maritime Garage, the South Norwalk train station garage, the South Norwalk train station lot, Webster lot. All these have shown an increased revenue, whereas the smaller transaction areas, we're seeing a decline, but that's why the activity level is down, but the revenue is higher than last year. Payment-wise method, comparing it to prior same time, we're seeing a transition to more credit card payments. This year, this month we are at 93% in credit card transaction, whereas same time last year we were at 89%.
Hey, Rocky,
Right.
just a quick question.
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
remind me what TTP stands for?
Text to Park.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
The permit sales section, we're seeing, and again, I apologize again for this, month pay report. If you look at the top line, it says that permit revenue is down 5.2%. That's a typo from my side. It should be up by 5.2%. I'll send the updated package to Marissa to update. But permit sales and permit activity, permit revenue were high for the month, comparing it to prior month, prior year. We're seeing a major increase, and the main increase is coming from a Maritime Garage, due to some added parkers at the Maritime Garage, and then Yankee Doodle Garage, mainly from the Ford McMahon reserve space up on the rooftop. All right, the on-street parking activity, the on-street activity, for the revenue and activity is down comparing it to prior. For comparing it to last month, it is up. That is following the seasonal trend, but comparing it to prior year same time, we're seeing a decline in activity, and this is mainly coming from leisure activity at nighttime and weekend activities. We're monitoring the on-street occupancy, and it is slowing down this year comparing it to prior year. Right, if you can slide. Parking, the enforcement, we've seen a minor uptick comparing it to prior month, but this is following trend. It is slightly up, but comparing it to our prior numbers, it is still below prior year numbers. We've gone street by street and location by location to see if there is any abnormal activity in the enforcement, and it's all over the locations that we've seen the increase in violation, but nothing outside of normal. We're doing collection. The collection is still going through. Comparing it to prior year, we're still our collection agent is collecting all the ACE balances better this year, and we're just showing on that graph. Brian, next slide. This is the ticket issued versus demand analysis. Comparing it to prior month, we've seen a minor increase in the Brian, you want to do a full screen? Okay, I can't see the third slide, the third box. So we're seeing a minor uptick from March to April on the demand versus ticket issuance. But comparing it to number of tickets issued, same time last year, it is the ticket issuance slightly down from April of last year. Comparing it to demand, but demand last year was higher, and demand here in April of 24 was slightly under. Brian, the next slide, please. This is comparing 5 years ticket activity, ticket issuance, tracking street by street and location by location. We're still seeing same trend as prior year 20 to 23. We finished 20 to 23 by 2.6%. We're trending the same for 2023 for 2024, and we're not seeing any abnormal here as well. Pay by sale activity still showing an increased activity, but for the first time this year, we're seeing those numbers touching. Usually, pay by sale activity is up higher. If you look at the 2 years, we're always seeing an increase. But for this year, for this month, we've seen a minor decline, and that is as we talked earlier, the on-street activity is down a little bit, and most of the increased on-street pay-by-sale activities that we've been noticing in the past has been on the on-street activity. So that reflects the decline in pay-by-sale activity for the month.
Yeah, Rocky, I had a question about that.
Sure.
So 20%, roughly 21% of our transactions come from the street and come from pay by cell activity, which is a combination of the text to pay and the use of the Park Mobile platform, right?
The pay by cell transaction is 28% of system demand. Matt, this does
Right,
not
but-
include the pay by cell does not include the text to park. Pay by cell is strictly from the Park Mobile activities that we're getting. We're
Yeah.
capturing.
No, understood. I just did the math based on the pie charts that you've provided. So basically, roughly 20% is coming from the street, only 8% of lot parkers are using pay by cell. Do we have any kind of idea why is it just disproportionate amount of permit? Is it the location of T2s? Do we have any kind of insight as to why it only seems that on-street parkers are using the Park Mobile platform?
Matt, we didn't break down the 8% from off-street and 20% from all locations. Can you slide and Brian to that section where it shows up the 20%?
So it's just using the math. If we go back to your total transactions of pay by cell on street at 49% of the 36,739 is, roughly we're working our way down to 18,000 total transactions of against the total transient demands, not including beaches, of 87,443, which gets us to be about 20% of the total transactions. So
I'm sorry, I'm not following you with these questions, Matt, because the screen is too small. So all the numbers that you're referring to, I really.
I guess you also alluded to earlier, you made the comment that the vast majority of people using the platform are on-street parkers. Just wondering if we have any kind of directional understanding as to why so few lot parkers are utilizing, or off-street parkers are utilizing the platform, considering that's where the vast majority of our revenue comes from.
Matt,
I gotta look. Go ahead.
it just could be that those people want to avoid that Park Mobile fee. I'm just guessing on that. I know they could go to a pay station on the street, but it may be their long-term parkers or longer term. I
don't disagree with you, Judd. I mean, I have my own speculations. I'm hoping that Laz or Brian, I saw you unmuted. I don't know if you have any kind of insight onto it.
Yeah, I think it's something we should look at because, I mean, I guess there is kind of a concern, right? Like if the meters are located in ideal spots, which I believe they're in good locations, but maybe signage for the Park Mobile is not as clear in the offsite locations to really push the customers to using that.
It's just an interesting thought as we analyze the use of the app and how many people, like to Judd's point, like is the fee something that people are more apt to, no pun intended, it's a different app, but more apt to avoid.
Do we know the average parking time on the street versus average parking time off street?
Yeah, we have that. I'll get back to that, Judd, but 48% of the transactions are coming from on-street Park Mobile transactions. The 52% comes from the off-street facilities.
Right. I think it's just be interested to see, system-wide what the average street time is and the average lot time is, and that may tell us something. So.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Rocky, I didn't understand that comment. You said 48% come from.
Yeah, the 48% of the transactions, Park Mobile transactions come from on-street activity. The rest are 52% are coming from the off-street facilities.
Okay. That's curious. I don't know that the math quite adds up to that.
What numbers are you looking at, Matt, so I can look into this?
So sorry, I'm looking at all transient revenue on the street and the pay by cell percentage. The on-street comparison of total transactions versus total transactions in the system wide. And then your assertion later that 28% of demands are pay by cell.
Let me open this.
It's
Advantage is not looking at the big file because I'm from my phone.
I understand. I'm not trying to put you on the hot seat, Rocky. I'm
No,
trying to.
you're right. So the paybacks represent 20% of system demands. Is that what you're looking at? I have my computer
Yeah, so
open just
28% of system demands are coming from pay by cell transactions. And
Yes.
and we're backing into the number of total transactions based upon the previous slide or two previous slides indication of total transient demands for the month. And then looking at the comment regarding total transient revenues from on-street meters, using the total number of transactions as your number to deduct from the total number of transient demands, and applying the 49% to that number, representing a total number, then to apply to the total transient demands presents a percentage. And then if that represents 20% of total demands and 28 or 20, it's 20.5. If that present, then the remainder by process of elimination would be off street. But if it just, we can go over it separately, but
Yeah,
just trying to figure out like how much would be coming from the off street then.
sure. Let me dig deeper and get you a detailed report math, because I'm sorry, I'm a little bit confused in here. I'm trying to follow the math, but let me work with this with Brian and then send you the detailed report on demand for per Park Mobile, demand per transient, and then also break it down by the street and
Yeah, it doesn't need to be its own separate report. It's of interest.
explanation. Okay.
Matt, do you think long-term it's beneficial to move all of our customers toward Park Mobile, or is this just something you're
Well,
curious about the numbers?
I'm curious about what the real adaptation is, right? Like how many people are actually utilizing the platform. Because we do spend quite a bit of money on signage trying to attract people to use the platform.
I see.
If it's, if it becomes misleading that the platform is as prevalent as we think it is, or that it isn't, like we may be just throwing good money at bad. I think it's important that we have a platform, but it's also important that we really kind of understand how people use it.
Okay.
We have a we spoke to Emily, who's our Park Mobile rep. Maybe the signage, we're working on getting updated signage for Park Mobile. Maybe this is an opportunity for them to, collaborate with us to see where we could maybe, I don't know, try to increase the visibility of the signs in certain locations, just to see if it drives more people to the maybe where we're missing an opportunity.
Sure.
All right, Rocky, are you, how's the rest of the presentation? Are you, any closing, any,
No, that was it. And then staff is also, aside from the ops report and included here, staff is getting ready for, cleanup, power washing and striping. So we should have more of what jobs have been completed by May report, by end of May. The May report or the June report will include those some projects that are completed by staff.
and then Matt will follow up. We'll follow up with you by Friday, if that's okay.
Sure. No, that's perfectly fine. You get,
Great.
look, Friday's the start of the holiday. It's more than acceptable to come back next week. It's not a problem at all. I appreciate you participating.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, of course.
Let me just re-share my screen again. Get the agenda back up.
Thanks very much, Rocky. And I think with that, we're able to move to old business. And the update, item 1, I think, Brian, you want to speak to this?
Yes, sir. It's the couple updates for the well, one update for the 15-minute free option. Went live last Wednesday. Currently, as of maybe 4 hours ago, we had 228 impressions, which was 11% of the total transactions in the piloted area. Our outreach to the businesses was well received. We will continue to have ambassadors in the area to help answer questions and assist customers with any confusion that they might run into, and just kind of, asking them. And I've been doing it myself. They're just like, hey, are you go to a customer if they need help. It's like, well, I'm trying to do this 15-minute. I'll walk them through it, and they're very appreciative of it. And just it helps in the long run. But also the businesses that we went out to, we gave flyers to and just informed them. Like I said earlier, it was well received, and looking forward to getting the data, and then two, just kind of hearing from the neighborhood and seeing how this goes, because ultimately, we're going to continue to monitor this, and if it works, if this is working, we want to push it all towards Sono as well, along with the updated time regulations and clearer signage down in South Norwalk. So we're preparing that. I'm preparing that for the next board meeting. Channel 12, we had wasn't really a press release, but Channel 12 came to the neighborhood Friday, and they did a quick story on this. They interviewed me and Greer. It's a very quick piece on Channel 12, but it is up on their website. So if you haven't seen it, please take a look. So it's all right. I think getting the word out is a good thing, and sometimes I feel like we just got to push more stuff on our social media and just try to get our communication out there as well. Any questions on the 15 minutes, Peter? Any feedback on your end?
Yeah, not too much feedback. It's one thing certainly for the merchants to know the situation, and I'm sure it's well received. The people that I've talked about, it is definitely well received. It's tough, the pay station is a pay station, so it's tough to get a feeling for it's free 15 minutes. So how do we do that? So I think signage for that is certainly important. And I know you and I have spoken, Brian, about if someone's there 15 minutes, and that this happens to everyone. With a Park Mobile, you can get an extra of half an hour, whatever it happens to be. You all of a sudden your plans change. I know when you and I spoke that for them to get some kind of situation where they would go from a free situation to a longer paid situation, there's gonna be like a transaction fee, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't know how. I guess there's probably no way of getting around that, but I don't know how we
There-
can kind of have our cake and eat it too.
Well, I think there's other solutions that we can explore, right? Rocky and I have actually been talking about this for the last couple weeks and just getting something presented to the board and to and just kind of seeing how we feel about it and see how robust we can make this program, because you're right. Like if you go to a meter, you're doing 15 minutes. The only two options you have is if you're extending your stays, go back to the meter or go to Park Mobile and start a regular parking session, right? There could be opportunities with other solutions in conjunction with the meter 15 minutes, is maybe get like maybe another platform that doesn't charge the 35-cent transaction fee that Park Mobile does.
Right. Or if it's nominal, we don't know how this is going to grow, and hopefully it grows. Hopefully it's a real positive for the city. Should we eat some of this stuff? I don't want to eat any of these transaction fees. I'm talking about 35 cents, but I don't know how it's going to evolve. I don't think anybody really knows. But to get the word out is certainly important, especially if we want to see it happen in South Norwalk and the other places in town. So it's something that we really want to promote every which way. It's really difficult today. Channel 12 is great. A lot of people watch TV, but certainly even television has taken big hits, because everything is streaming and so forth today. So people don't have television, even local Channel 12, as they used to. And then you've got Facebook and so forth, and some people don't do Facebook. It's tough to do things and get the public to really know, because a pay station is pay station. It's just the first word. I know that I was thinking in my own, small world on Wall Street is to put up a big poster on the interior. I have a lot of glass windows. I have probably 40 or 50 feet of glass. So to take out a big poster, free parking, 15, something, and I'm not just going to do it without bringing it up to you folks and see if we can just promote it every which way to try to get the word out here, and so people take advantage of it and they benefit from it. And then, so if that goes free 15-minute really well, but I would just naturally think that people are going to shop longer. They're going to stay longer. They're going to want to pay more, because it goes hand in hand with the free 15-minute is to go have lunch then, and pay for an hour of Park Mobile. I just think it's contagious, these two types of things. So I'd probably look for a little feedback from the board and different people on what they think.
And just to jump in here, Peter, I think that we weren't able to measure this short stays effectively. Now we have a way of measuring this short-term parking, which is going to help us manage our inventory better. So I think getting, as the days go on, we're going to be getting a lot of data in, and we can analyze it and make decisions based on it. Maybe getting posters and distributing them to some of the businesses could be a bonus. I'm not sure how willing some of the neighborhood will be, but I could do some outreach and find out. I know Mark Allen, who is the president of the Wall Street Neighborhood Association. I'm planning on attending their next meeting next Wednesday. I could actually, when I talk and introduce myself to some of these business owners that I've never met, I can ask them about that too, because maybe it's just something we make a couple of the little posters and hand them out to them.
Yeah, the card that you handed out to me is right on the money, from what it says. And it's just, I just want it to be, I want to make kind of a big splash, initially, because it's a whole new policy, and we don't want it to be a quiet policy. We want it out there. And so people know, and if somebody doesn't know, maybe somebody else they're talking to, they do know. And so you really want, everybody's got to be aware. I'm more than happy to beat the street a little bit and talk to the various merchants. It's to their own benefit. Hopefully it works really well.
I think it will, but your feedback is taken.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's gonna build momentum over time because I've used it once and, you know, you go to a pay station down there and it's right there on the screen. You touch the screen and it says free 15 minutes. So it may take a couple of months, but I think it just on its own, it'll pick up a lot of momentum. But any kind of promotion we can do is good.
And
I don't think
the
we need
key-
posters
I'm sorry.
for years on windows. I
Yeah,
think
of
we need
course.
to break
Like a
the ice.
campaign.
Yeah, and really get people realizing that, because you know, the pay stations, we just want to make sure they know they can park for 15 minutes for free. I mean, I'm kind of beating a dead horse, I guess.
No, your point is valid. I think that we could maybe look to run maybe we could put some funds into a campaign that maybe we can get our current Snyder Group to help maybe with some outreach on different channels, whether it's social, whether it's post newspapers, that kind of thing. Because I know, it's a big deal. This is a great thing. This is unique. This is a unique code that we got made for Norwalk, and it should be on, everyone's mind, saying this is an innovative thing. And one of the things I've noticed since I started here is that the Norwalk Parking Authority has made a lot of innovative changes throughout the years, and especially through COVID. So it's a positive thing for the city. So I hear you. I understand.
No, I know you do, Brian, and you've been really receptive to this. But just to clarify, because I've asked you probably twice already, is if they go on their phone or they go, they don't see the free 15 minutes on their phone. If they go to,
Park Mobile?
yes,
No.
exactly.
No.
Right.
It's not on Park Mobile.
Right. So there's no real way that they're going to get that information unless they walk up to the pay station.
Yeah, and we could try to put some things together to present to the board, to the commissioners, and try to get something to get a bigger splash on this.
Yeah, I'm looking for some ideas, I guess, to make it successful.
Sure.
I think it's helpful context too, Peter, that believe it or not, up until very recently, the parking authority's pricing model has effectively been subsidizing parking in the area, right? Because we've actually lost money on the average transaction value for that area. So I think, while the general public doesn't necessarily see it that way, I think, we as an authority should keep that in the back of our minds, that we should absolutely do everything that we can possibly do to ensure that folks see and have access to the 15-minute free option. That's what it's there for, right? We want to make sure that if it's an amenity, they have access to it. But we should also consider that we have been eating not just the transaction fee, but really effectively the whole use of the space for quite some time.
And parking is not free, right? So we
Right.
know that, and I'm not trying to
No.
get that, but I'm just trying to build up volume.
Yeah.
And actually see that volume. Actually, here's the volume. So Rocky can say over the past 6 months we've gone from A to B, and now we said, well, what do we do to capitalize on this a little bit, make a couple of bucks on this? We're not there yet, but we'd like to get there.
Sure.
Matt, do you mean in the Wall Street district, we've been subsidizing parking with
That's right.
Yeah. My empirical evidence opinion is Wall Street now is as busy or almost as busy as South Norwalk on any given night. There's quite a bit of activity down there now. I think there's more empty storefronts in South Norwalk these days than there are on Wall Street.
I would tend to agree with you, Judd.
It's a good thing for this district, and if we can continue to be a positive force for change, that's great.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
just
and the
to kind
15
of,
minute really doesn't affect that so much. If people are going out, whether it's to a bar or for dinner for the evening, they're staying, so they're paying.
Right.
and the nice thing with that part of this is it doesn't shut down the 17 spots for those long-term users. And that's one of the big things for the restaurants that people staying over an hour. Those spots weren't available to them, and if they parked there, they could have gotten a violation, which we don't want. So it eliminated that issue. One of the things I've been working on with some of the restaurants is just trying to inform their customers of where to park, how to get to the restaurant, what's the parking, try to link to Park Norwalk's website, and also give rates and zone codes for Park Mobile, just to give their customers an idea of where to go. And it's something I kind of took from my experience coming to Norwalk, is I didn't know where to park besides Maritime Garage when we went to the aquarium. And after the aquarium, we left to go get food, not knowing the area. And there were a bunch of restaurants we wanted to go to on Washington, but I couldn't find this parking spot. So I take that experience I had, and I was like, listen, I think that if I would have went to a restaurant, saw a restaurant on, on Google or something, and did a review, went on their website, and they had like a little information tab where they had the location where to park. Go park at Haviland Parking Deck if there's no on street. It helps, because I would not have had an issue paying for parking if I knew where to go. So I've been working with restaurants to really have that information on their sites, on their business sites, so it helps them. And I think we've seen a really big uptick at Yankee Doodle because of the collaboration that we've had with Greer, to get that information up on her site.
That's
And
awesome.
I think the those concrete fascias coming down will just be such a positive thing, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Because Greer is looking really good. They're doing great business, and just to have an open parking area, they can. It's a win-win.
Yes, sir. So good.
Thanks.
So
We have a discuss and vote.
yes. So the next thing is, as the commission's aware, we lease an area in the terminal, in the South Norwalk station terminal, to a coffee shop called Black by the Man. Unfortunately, the ceiling, as you could tell, the ceiling from on the terminal is it's a difficult roof, and it's continuing to leak. I don't know if you guys see my mouse on the screen, but there's an issue on the other side where the flashing and the garage structure is kind of pulled apart. So we've gotten some proposals, and to address this, we're recommending a targeted repair to the area of where the leak is on her side of the ceiling. GL Capazzo has worked on this roof before, and knows the most effective way of getting scaffolding on this awkward roof, and has experience working with the MTA staff, which is a challenge onto itself at this station. They will tighten all the fasteners and apply a liquid coating to the flashing and counter flashing where the roof attaches to the garage. If we look to do a full repair, that's when it gets into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, which I don't think is needed right now. So I'm asking the commission to vote on this proposal of $12,839 to get this roof addressed, and for our tenant at the station.
Thank you, Brian.
So we're looking for a motion here?
I am.
Okay, well, I'll make a motion to approve the GL Capasso roof repair proposal for the South Norwalk train station in the amount of 12,000. Brian, can you remind me of that full amount?
It's $12,839.
$12,839.
Thank you, Judd. There's a motion on the floor.
I'll
I will
second,
second. Oh,
Oh.
okay, Pam. Go
I'll
for it.
second it.
Thank you, Pam. So I'll open it to discussion regarding the motion. Anyone have any comments? This seems reasonable given the access restriction and the necessity for scaffolding to access it and perform the repairs. This isn't, obviously this is double to triple height area requiring all the necessary safety equipment, not to mention the materials and the labor hours. This does not seem particularly out of order, and it seems based upon our operations report that we have the fund balance appropriate, not to mention potentially some savings in other operations to cover this expense.
Yeah, I think it's very reasonable.
Thank you, Judd. Is there any other comment? So I'll close discussion at this point in time and ask all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Thank you. Opposed? And the motion carries. You're approved, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
And I think with that, we can proceed to new business.
Okay, YMCA lot. So this lot's located off of West Avenue, across from the Norwalk Art Space. Now that the YMCA is gone, we have an opportunity to effectively manage this lot. We're recommending a installing 4-hour regulation by 4-hour regulation while also allowing us to sell 10 permits for this lot at a rate of $50 plus tax. So I put a picture of the area. It's an older picture on Google Maps, but the building is gone. The lot I surrounded with a yellow box, and then where we're proposing to put the permits is in the back row back there. It has the capabilities of maybe 20 spots, but I think what we should do is start at 10. We'll look at usage for the next few weeks and see if we have an opportunity to increase the number by 10. So eventually maybe 20 permits. There's a lot of construction vehicles that we could that could utilize these permits. And then the rest of the spaces, which is maybe around 30, it's about 50 spots. They're unmarked, but we counted like 50, 45 to 50, depending how people park. For use of people visiting the park or visiting the art space, because the art space has been affected by all the construction that's going on in that area. So a lot of their visitors utilize that lot. So if we put a 4-hour regulation, they can go in there and go to the art space without any issues and go about their business. And then we'll put an enforcement. We'll enforce that regulation as well. Asking the commission to vote on these recommendations so we can immediately implement.
Brian, so there'd be a pay station at the lot with a 4-hour max on it? Is that what I understand?
No, it won't be paid. It won't be a paid lot besides the permits. It will just be 4-hour parking. You
I
can
see.
park there for 4 hours without payment, but they'd have to move after 4 hours.
And the plate readers would be able to monitor that time. A constable would go through there with a Norwalk Parking Authority car, read the plates, maybe come back in 4 hours and check again. Is that how that would be monitored, or?
Yes,
Or we just-
yes,
Yeah?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
They go on their enforcement patrols on these regulated times, and that would be just added to the schedule.
Uh-huh, okay. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Anyone else want to make a motion to approve this?
I'm just curious, where do the construction people park now?
Good question. I think there's a
Elsewhere.
couple there. Some of them, you see some of the trucks down here, and I don't know, Rocky, have you seen anywhere some of these construction vehicles are utilizing in that area?
Yeah, they're all over on Quincy Street. There there's no sign. I know Brian, you and Jim are working on getting some signages. Also, Waypoint parking garage is free, so we've seen some construction guys parking in there. They're just limiting them to not to stay overnight, but they're parking in the garage, on the street where there are no signs, so they're everywhere out in that area.
And if we get some of those contractors in this lot on these permits, it'll give more room for residents to park where they're parking now.
Right, so, but maybe I'm not understanding. So these contractors, most of them, I would think, are there all day. So, but you're given 4-hour time limit.
That's not, they're not we don't want them to utilize this lot. We want the people that are visiting Norwalk, going to restaurants or going to the art space. The art space is the main usage of this lot right now, because their parking has been affected with the new buildings.
Okay. Okay, you've got a better handle on it, Brian.
Peter, I had the exact same thought because I think Berkeley Street, right, has a high violation rate, and I think Berkeley Street is the driver behind that is the construction vehicles there. So I think I'm kind of racked, right? Like we want them to buy permits so that they park here and they free up areas for residents. But we also
Exactly.
want folks to be able to freely access the art space because they are trapped between two very large construction projects that affect the ability to even circulate on Butler Street there. That's a challenge. I think, Brian, I think your proposal strikes a nice balance. I wonder, is this the maximum amount of permits that we can sell while still accommodating the art space?
So
How
they
many-
had an event on Monday, and the lot was very crowded. Didn't hear any complaints yet, but I could go reach out to them and see how they feel. Because I mean, are you saying maybe do less permits there, Matt?
Well, I'm wondering if we could do a few more
More.
and still
That's what I
have
meant,
the
right.
appropriate amount of spaces to serve their needs. I
Mhm.
think it's absolutely, my opinion is that it's absolutely okay for us to accommodate that. I think we should focus on that. But I also think that, maybe some of those surrounding surface streets could use a little relief from work vans and work trucks. And also I'm sure those work trucks probably could use a little relief from paying violation revenue.
Yeah, I agree with Matt, what you're saying. I agree.
So how about we start like I was recommending, start with 10 permits during the next month. I'll reach out to, I think his name's Duvian,
Duvian.
at the art space, have a couple conversations with him and just kind of get a plan on his end. Cause I don't know what their schedule is. I don't know what kind of events they have. Like Monday, I was actually caught by surprise that they'd have an event on Monday, but the lot was very crowded. So I'm assuming that's a normal event for them, but maybe a little bit of outreach to them this month might give us a better idea to recommend to the commission to increase maybe 10, maybe another 20.
I think
Yeah,
that's,
but go ahead, Matt.
oh, no, I was just expressing that I think that that's a fair compromise at this point.
Yeah, I think 10 is a good number to start with. We can always increase it even next month. And Brian, how many parking spots do you think we have in there?
About 50.
50. So that's quite a bit. You know, it seems like we could add more permitted spots, but let's start with 10 and see what happens.
Judd, that sounded a lot like a motion.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve 4-hour parking and 10 permitted parking spaces at the West Avenue former YMCA parking lot.
Got a motion and we'll seek a second.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Thank you, Peter. Is there any further discussion before we take it to vote? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Thanks very much. The motion carries. Thanks, Brian. We'll look forward to hearing some feedback on from both Duvian and how it performs in the next month.
Perfect. Thank you, Commission. The last item that we have to discuss and vote is that we have a number of projects that we want to get done to help better our customer experience for the upcoming fiscal year. Restrooms in the main terminal of the South Norwalk train station, the HVAC system at the Maritime Garage, an updated fence for the dumpster area at the Webster lot, and the roof repair that we kind of discussed earlier. We want to update the sinks, like in the bathrooms. We want to update the sinks, the toilet bowls, and all the other hardware. If you've ever been to the terminal, they're very dated. The tiles are, it needs a renovation. So this is part of what this is like the bigger project that we're trying to get done. We've gotten a handful of proposals already, and for 2 bathrooms, it's around $100,000 to get those improvements finished. The other projects are smaller in scope. The HVAC system at the Maritime Garage lobby needs to be fixed. Currently, the heating portion of the system isn't working. If you ever go there, you're like, wow, it's super cold in here. That's the reason why. It's not an urgent priority in the summer, but we should get this fixed prior to October. That's around $30,000. We also want to build a new fence for the dumpsters at the Webster lot. This will help address some of the illegal dumping we are experiencing and also make that area look nicer. And the last part is the repair that we talked about already, was the roof. Based on further evaluation, we may bring additional recommendations to the commission next month. We are asking the commission to vote to allow us to accrue a total of $163,000 from the fund balance from Mace Financials to get a few projects funded and completed.
Okay. Before I just have a quick question before we entertain motions. Reading between the lines regarding these restrooms, do we have code compliance issues in these restrooms? Is driving the cost so high?
No, the ADA compliance is okay. I actually did a walkthrough with our ADA coordinator. My God, was it Monday? These weeks are just like it was Monday morning with Rocky and with Rocky and his team. He looked at it and it looks fine. There were some issues that we had to take care of prior when I first started that were addressed. This is just this is more for upgrading to renovate the bathrooms to give people a little bit nicer of an area to, do their business. Currently, where we run into big issues is that the sinks don't turn off. They're older sinks, so people will go in there and, they use the facilities for a very long time. which I don't think we really want in that area. I think having, updated equipment will be, friendlier for the environment, won't waste as much water, and it'll be a little bit nicer of an experience at the terminal.
Makes sense to me, Brian. Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to maintain the accrual indicated by Brian, which was, I believe, $163,000 and change.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we've got a motion to approve the accrual in the amount of an estimated $163,000 from May financials, which are presumably going to close prior to the end of the month and not reflected in the current month's reporting. We'll authorize TMP to make that accrual, and that's been seconded by Mr. Ailey. Thank you. And then is there any further discussion regarding this accrual request? Okay, I'll close discussion and then put it to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And opposed? None, and so it passes. Brian, you have your approval to make your accrual.
Thank you. We'll get this done. I really think this impacts, I think we could really turn around our customer experience with some of these changes. Thank you.
I think you're in good shape. Thanks very much, Brian. Appreciate that. Okay, with no other new business on the agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
Thanks, Judd. It's just going to be another quiet hour. That's okay. Sorry. Thanks so much, guys. I appreciate everyone's attendance this month and all of the great work that Rocky's team and TMP are doing. Appreciate it very much, and we look forward to seeing you guys in 1 month, which is the 26th of June at the same time.
Thanks,
Great.
Matt.
Have a great evening.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.